Wait, why are Italy's most famous statues naked? Behind the marble lies power, faith, and obsession. Stay with me. Imagine a modern visitor to Italy, perhaps wandering through the sun-drenched streets of Rome, or queuing for a prestigious museum in Florence. No matter the city, they will almost certainly encounter them. They stand as silent sentinels in bustling public squares, line the hallowed halls of grand galleries, and even adorn the intricate facades of ancient buildings. Statues of the human form, often completely and unapologetically unclothed. For many people, especially those from cultures where public nudity is taboo, this can be a surprising, even jarring sight. It prompts a perfectly reasonable question. Why are so many of the world's most celebrated Italian sculptures nude? The answer isn't simple. It's a long, layered story that takes us back thousands of years, winding through shifting philosophies on art and the body, navigating intense religious debates, and touching the very hands that carve the stone. To truly understand this artistic tradition, we must look beyond what we see on the surface to the powerful ideas that fueled their creation. These are not mere representations of people. They are vessels for complex concepts about idealized beauty, about divinity, heroism, and ultimately, about humanity itself. Our journey to understand the nude figures of the Renaissance begins much earlier than Italy. It starts in the cradle of Western civilization, ancient Greece. The story of the Italian nude begins long before Italy as we know it existed. Its roots are in ancient Greece, 5th and 4th centuries BC. For the Greeks, the human body, especially the male, was natural perfection. They pursued the ideal, mathematical proportion, balance, harmonious form, a godlike version of humanity. Artists like Polykleitos and Praxiteles sculpted archetypes, not individuals, strength and serene composure, kolokagathia. Nudity meant presence of perfection, athlete, hero, god. It signaled health, discipline, and civic virtue. Early kuroi stand detached, anatomically precise. This was public philosophy, not personal nakedness. Rome admired Greece, absorbing art, literature, and philosophy. They commissioned copies for villas, gardens, and baths. Romans added realism and portraiture but kept heroic nudity. Leaders shown nude evoked godlike virtues. In the ancient world, nudity was a form of communication, a symbolic language understood by all. Portraying a nude was a deliberate, meaningful choice. Different types of nudity conveyed different ideas. A god's nudity signified divinity, placing them beyond mortal needs. It emphasized power, immortality, and perfection. Heroic nudity honored extraordinary virtue and courage. Stripping rank revealed the essential character of the man. Even emperors were depicted in this ideal form. Athletes competed nude, celebrating trained bodies. Sculptures like Discobolus honored effort and competition, placed in sanctuaries and public spaces as dedications. They inspired the young and modeled civic excellence. Ancient viewers could read identity at a glance: divinity, heroism, civic virtue. Context: temple, gymnasium, or villa, clarified meaning. This symbolic system set a precedent for the Renaissance. The body became a vehicle for profound ideas. After Rome fell, classical traditions lay dormant for centuries. Medieval art was spiritual, stylized, fully clothed, teaching faith. The perfect classical nude vanished from mainstream art. In 14th and 15th century Italy came a rebirth, the Renaissance. Humanism rediscovered texts and unearthed statues. It championed reason and individual achievement. Art expanded from the divine to the gloriously human. Donatello, Michelangelo, Leonardo, masters of the body. They fused natural realism with ancient idealism. Michelangelo's David, biblical hero, Greek god, and civic symbol. Renaissance nudity was not imitation, but reinvention. The nude explored Christian themes: sin, innocence, perfection. Even Christ and saints showed physical humanity. The nude bridged Christianity and antiquity, a tool to probe body and soul, earth and divine. It resonated with Renaissance optimism about human potential, a timeless monument to human beauty and strength. The story of the sculpted nude is inseparable from the material it's carved from. The choice of stone or metal wasn't just a technical decision. It was the first, most fundamental artistic one. This choice would dictate the entire process, shaping the final impact of the figure and its relationship with the viewer. Artists of antiquity and the Renaissance were masters of their craft, possessing an almost intuitive understanding of their chosen medium. They knew how to exploit each material's distinct strengths to evoke different qualities of the human form. For centuries, Carrara marble was prized above all others, especially for its unique ability to mimic the softness of lifelike skin textures. Its crystalline structure allows light to penetrate the surface before reflecting, creating a subtle, luminous glow from within the stone itself. But marble is a subtractive and unforgiving medium. The artist starts with a block and carves away, meaning every strike of the chisel is irreversible. This demanded immense foresight. Sculptors had to fully conceive of the figure in 3 dimensions before the first cut was ever made. After the raw form was hewn, countless hours of painstaking sanding and polishing were required to capture and manipulate light. Through this process, gentle curves and delicate lines could achieve a quality that felt almost breath-like. This absolute technical mastery elevated the nude from mere representation to an ideal of pure, transcendent beauty. Bronze, by contrast, offered a completely different set of possibilities. It is an additive process. A figure is first modeled in a pliable material like wax or clay, then cast. Molten metal fills the void left by the original model, and after cooling, the final, durable figure emerges. Because of its high tensile strength, bronze allows for open, dynamic poses with outstretched limbs, compositions impossible to sustain in heavy, brittle stone. Complex torsions, dramatic gestures, and a sense of fleeting movement all find stability and permanence in cast metal. Its surfaces can be polished to a gleaming shine that captures sharp highlights, or treated with chemicals to create a deep, varied patina. Cool, luminous marble suggests quiet contemplation. Warm, resonant bronze captures dynamic energy. In both, the sheer perfection and visible skill create an aesthetic distance, inviting admiration over intimacy. The medium itself becomes a frame, elevating the body into an object of contemplation, fit for the most revered public and sacred spaces. The Church's relationship with the nude was, for centuries, both complex and profoundly tense. On one hand, it was the most powerful and prolific patron of art in Italy, commissioning works that would define an entire era. Popes and cardinals, eager to project power and divine glory, embraced the grandeur of classical antiquity. Think of the heroic figures of Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel ceiling, where the idealized human form becomes a vessel for the sacred. This was humanism in service of faith. Yet on the other hand, a deep-seated theological anxiety persisted. For many within the Church, nudity was inextricably linked to original sin, a symbol of humanity's fall from grace, evoking lust and shame. This tension reached a breaking point during the Counter-Reformation. In response to the Protestant challenge, the Church pushed for greater decorum in sacred art, fearing that classical nudity distracted from pious contemplation. The Council of Trent decreed that art must be clear, powerful, and above all, decent. Suddenly, modesty became a mandate. Draperies were added to existing masterpieces, most famously to Michelangelo's Last Judgment by Daniele da Volterra, who earned the unfortunate nickname Il Bragatone, the breeches maker. Works were altered, relocated to less prominent positions, or hidden away entirely. Artists had to navigate stricter briefs, balancing classical ideals with the new demands for modesty through clever use of pose and cloth. But the classical ideal, once revived, could not be suppressed. Outside the church walls, powerful Renaissance families like the Medici and Farnese collected and commissioned nude sculptures as symbols of their wealth, education, and status. These private palazzos became the first galleries, but as these influential dynasties declined over generations, their priceless collections often entered the public trust, bequeathed to the city or state. This shift gave birth to the modern public museum. For the first time, masterpieces once seen only by a privileged few were accessible to all. Inside the museum, the context shifted. No longer just objects of devotion or private luxury. These statues were reframed as artifacts of history, triumphs of aesthetics, and lessons in artistic mastery. Today, these works are cornerstones of Italy's cultural identity and its tourism economy. Millions visit David, the Laocoon, and the Venus de Medici each year. Each of us arrives with our own perspective, our own cultural and personal lens. We bring our diverse beliefs, our sense of wonder, and our modern questions to these ancient and Renaissance forms. The museum's role is to bridge the gaps, to provide the context and care that allow these timeless conversations between art and viewer to continue. So why so many nudes? It's a story written in a chain of influence, from the ideals of Greece to the power of Rome, through the intellectual fire of humanism to the hand of a master.